Welcome back. I'm joined by the Piers Pack, socialist author Grace Blakely, and poor old Harry Cole from The Sun, who couldn't get here because, yes, the rail strikes. We'll come to that in a minute, Harry. I want to ask you, Grace, first of all, about the Caitlyn Jenner interview and this wider issue of trans athletes in sport, because it is a hot potato. Megan Rapinoe, very strong about this. They should all be allowed to compete. What's your view?
I think that athletes have physiological differences among themselves. You know, you look at the top cyclists, the top runners, they've got particular physiologies that aren't the same as the rest of the population. So I think it's weird that we should draw this line that says trans women, especially because there's so few of them, shouldn't be allowed to compete.
Well, what about when you have a swimmer like Leah Thomas, who goes from being a very mediocre male swimmer, transitions and becomes a world-beating woman swimmer?
Well, I mean, look, you have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. If the other women in the sport are saying, look, I don't think this is fair, or this has kind of undermined my ability to get this world record I was looking for, then, you know, look at it sensibly. But I think in general, just saying trans women can't compete seems a bit unfair.
Well, taking your logic, why don't we just remove all gender-related differences in sport? Just have everyone compete in the same.
I'm not
Olympics.
a massive sports fan, Piers.
Right, but you're a cricket fan, right?
It's not.
You're a
I would
cricket
love
fan.
to see. I remember at my school there was one girl who really wanted to play cricket on the boys' team, and for ages she wasn't allowed. And then eventually they let her play, and she was really good.
And if you just literally remove gender from it, you had Ben Stokes playing against the England women's cricketers, how do you think that would go?
I have no idea, but I'm
Yes, you
sure
do.
that they
You know
would
exactly
do
how it would
very
go.
well.
It would obviously be incredibly unfair.
I mean,
would
look,
you be happy if
there are so
Usain Bolt became
there are
a
so
woman and then
few
competed against
trans
females?
athletes that it just kind of undermines the argument when you're saying we should change
But
the
actually,
entire
we're now seeing it
architecture of the
happening in
sport.
cycling, we're seeing it happening in weightlifting, we're seeing it happening in swimming, seeing it happening in rugby. There was a cricketer down in Kent, it was the women's cricketer of the year,
the way that this
who averaged,
ends
I
up,
think, 17
the
as
way
a
that
man
this
and
ends up is
100
when
as a
you
woman.
have, you know, who was the South African woman who had different levels of hormones,
Right,
and so
that's
then
different.
was decided.
That's different.
But I mean, this is, you know, this is the thing. It's like you're deciding it based on someone's physiology.
But my point is, Megan Rapinoe, very keen, they should all be included, but they're therefore saying that actual sexual advantage doesn't exist in physiology.
But there are all sorts of advantages that exist
but my
in physiology.
point
Like cyclists have bigger lungs, and, you know, like the top runners, for example, all have similar
again, I
sorts
come
of...
back to the question you don't want to answer, pretending you know nothing about sports. But if what you're saying is correct, why have any gender-specific sport?
Because you're doing a reductio ad absurdum. You're taking a small case...
what, sorry?
It's Latin.
Can you not talk Latin at this time of night?
You're taking one case and then trying to generalise it.
I'm saying if you don't think physiology, if you don't think male biological males have any advantage, why not remove
I haven't
gender?
said that at all. I've said that there are all sorts of physiological differences that professional athletes have. And yes, you know, there are obviously differences between men and women. But then going out to saying, right, because of that, this tiny number of trans athletes who want to compete in lots of different sports where these differences mean very different things should never be able to do that is a stretch.
Actually, I don't think it is. I think it's just common sense.
Well, we disagree.
I am aware of that.